Hey everybody, good morning. It's Reno Viola. I am the mortgage guy, also known as the mortgage commando. Of course, my flying partner is Sandra Brown, the machine for mortgages here in Ontario. And this morning we're going to talk about my favorite topic. It's not Sandy's favorite topic, it's my personal favorite topic. We're going to talk about brokers versus banks. So you're in for quite a treat. It should get a little animated. If you have any questions, certainly get them to us at our email addresses. And I'm sure that Sandy will be playing the devil's advocate here most of this game. So welcome to the show.
Good morning. I'm Sandra Brown. I'm the mortgage agent with mortgage broker with Mortgage Alliance. And I'm here to keep Reno in line because he's obviously going to be beating up on these banks a lot today. So let's talk about the major difference between the two of them. And I'm going to answer the questions first. We get many questions from many people, and this is the biggest concern most people have. Their first question to us is always, how much is this going to cost us? Well, and Reno, this is probably driving you crazy because I jumped all the way to the end.
Well, I want to show you folks something. I want to show you how we're good mortgage brokers. We're not good scripters. We've got a whole bunch of questions here. You can't see them, but they're in order, and she went to the last one. So she has this habit of going right to the end.
I do this. Yes, I do. Because this is going to be, let's get rid of it because everybody's going to say, well, I don't want to pay for a mortgage broker. And that's why I don't want to listen to this.
Okay, well, let's get that out of the way. Folks, we don't cost you anything. We get paid just the same as that bank employee gets paid by the bank. We get paid by the lender who we take your deal to. But why don't we go in the order of importance? Okay. So you walk into a bank. By the way, there's nothing wrong with banks, but if you want a better service, go to a mortgage broker. That's what a mortgage broker does for a living, is help you figure out how you're going to qualify for that mortgage. Even if you got great credit, you should use a mortgage broker because that mortgage broker can take you to that exact same lender and save you money on interest rate if that's all you're interested in. So banks aren't bad. It's just they're not specialists, they're generalists. And that's what really irks me. But anyway, when you go into
Wait a second, let's go back, Reno. Okay, so you said they're not specialists, and that really irks you. But the reality is, we are licensed. We actually take courses and training and stuff like that. Whereas a bank, many of them are not as qualified. There is some that are qualified, but they don't have the same training as we do. Is it so? That's important. You know what?
I tend to agree with what you're saying, but there's also a certain portion that is not exactly that. Yeah, we're licensed. We're licensed by the Department of the Canadian government that actually requires us to have a license. So we take the courses. So we're accredited, and we can actually talk to you about your financial situation. With the banks, the employees of the bank, they're not licensed, but the bank is licensed. So through that affiliation, they basically, because they work for the bank, they're also licensed.
But they're also multifaceted. They have to learn a whole bunch of everything and not enough of any one specific thing.
Who?
That's the difference. A bank, they really don't. Really? So with us,
well, you know what? You should read your script. You really should read your script because that's what makes a true professional on screen. Okay. Here's the deal. With banks, they're generalists. They basically, you go in. First off, you wait 3 weeks for that appointment. You get in. And unless your credit is absolutely perfect, and unless your job description and job verification, the income verification is 100% clear, okay, you're probably not going to qualify for that mortgage, or at least you're not going to qualify that day for that mortgage because the specialist that's in that bank or the person who is taking care of your mortgage needs in that bank today is interested in looking at 5 or 6 documents that if you don't have the right 5 or 6 documents, that's it. You're dead in the water. Sorry, sir, we can't do anything for you. Whereas we will look at the application and look for a favorable income. So we'll work towards that favorable income. You've got
it's more than that, Reno. It's more than that. Yeah, it's more than just the documents. It's the fact that every bank has their own guidelines and they are only selling their product. Plain and simple. They sell a line of credit, they sell a mortgage. There's no gray zone with a bank. Where with us as brokers, we have 65 different lenders, and that's including your banks. This is including your credit unions. This is including B lenders. This is including private lenders for those who actually have to go to that method. It's not just the fact that they want to look at your paperwork and if it's not what they like, that it's just their policies is their policies, and they have to follow the policies of the bank. And they are stricter. And you are 100% correct when you say they are looking for the A+ clients, those ones with the long-term jobs, the ones with the, the income that they verify, they're self-employed, that they show it on their notice of assessment. Let's be realistic. Most people don't show their self-employed income on their taxes every year, the full amount. Otherwise, they pay a lot of taxes. So little things like that. You're correct.
Okay, so look at brokers from the point of view as they're credit experts that are going to help you create your application and massage that application so that it is 100% real, but in your favor. And in your favor is what the lender is looking for. Remember, lenders don't have time to look at an application. A bank I'm talking about. She doesn't have, or he doesn't have time to look at the application, because you're sitting at the other side of the desk when they're looking at your application, and try to read between the lines. And generally, by the time you get to that bank, there's nothing to read between the lines because they think they already know it and they already got something in mind. Whereas we say, hey, okay, so you don't quite have the right ratios. Let's go looking for a different income. Okay, so if you make, whatever, $75,000, $80,000 a year, and that's not quite enough for the ratios to work, we'll start working it down. And a lot of times we find that, child tax benefits, for example, some people are leaving $15,000 or $20,000 worth of income on the table as far as qualification is concerned, because they're not using that child tax benefit to qualify. Whereas a smart broker will know all those little things to get you to the next level so that you can qualify for the ratios. So most brokers, and I'm not saying every broker, and I hate to say this because
like any industry, there is
lot of
brokers
yeah.
that don't know what they're doing, and then there's those that do. And you got to find the one that you're comfortable with. You need to know that they've got your interests, your best interests, which means not necessarily when Reno says massaging your app, he's not massaging. What he's doing is finding the right lender for you, because you may not follow in a certain lender's guidelines, but you would follow under another lender's guidelines. So that's what he's saying. He's not saying I'm not lying, cheating, or stealing. What I'm doing is I'm finding the right lender for you.
Yeah, and that's the biggest secret right there. So you walk into a bank and they're going to sell you their product, and they know their product, or they should know their product. And those guidelines are right here. So if you don't fit between these two lines, that's it. You're messed up. You won't go any further. Whereas most brokers, most good brokers, understand the policies of at least, remember, there's 65 lenders that we use, so we don't know in detail every one of those 65 lender policies. But we got a good idea. But the 7 or 8 or 10 that we do use on a regular basis, we know their policies inside and out. And so sometimes it's as little as, for example, I had and this I'm learning. I've been here forever, but I learn every day. One of the lenders the other day, because the house was on oil in a certain township, decided they were going to decline the deal. And then I took it to a bank, and you know what? They declined it for the same reason. So I went back to my one of my other lender, the third lender, and they took the deal because the policy actually allows for oil-fired furnaces, which is kind of weird because most houses in Canada are oil-fired, or at least they used to be oil-fired. So little things like that within the policies that actually make a huge difference. Same with the child tax benefit. Big deal.
That's right. And also, another thing that affects your mortgage is the age of the property. And that's what happens. We get customers all the time. We get them pre-approved. We actually have them approved on one deal and it falls apart because of whatever reason. And then we go to do another one and then it doesn't go quite as smooth as the first one. So my experience was with a client who we had him fully approved on the deal. Then it fell apart and we got another one. And it was because of the age of the house. All of a sudden, they don't like the age of the house. So we had to make sure we're finding the right lender for you, because not all lenders like older houses. They don't like them over 100 years old. They don't like them with oil, or they don't like them in the country. So that's what our goal is to do that, finding the right lender for you. And Reno's right. Sometimes we don't get it right the first time, but you don't even notice it because we're doing it all in the background.
Yeah, and, you know, and that's the key. We're doing it all in the background, and when you I hate to say this, and it does sound like I'm bashing it, and technically I am. When you go to a bank, you got 45 minutes. And you know what? 45 minutes is a long period of time to be able to put an application together. So I get it. So it's, you know, an hour, you do have the basics. But you waited 3 weeks for an appointment. Now you finally get in and you can see the person for 45 minutes. And then they got to get rid of you because there's somebody else right behind them. With us, I've seen, I mean, I don't like to, but I've seen where it takes me 3 or 4 days to figure out a specific application for, you know, a special customer that needs to do it a certain way. So the amount of time that we are able to put in with the knowledge that we also have usually leads to more approvals or pre-approvals or whatever it is that you're looking for. So we offer you your options. We offer you different interest rates. If it's interest rates you're looking for, definitely we can beat the banks. No problem. As a matter of fact, we thrive on that. So if the bank is offering you 2%, we can offer you 1.9. There's no question about it. Our rates are better than rates. Occasionally, you know what? You're going to get a speck in time where for 3 hours, some bank decided to put the rates down and we haven't caught up yet. So away we go for that 3-hour period. It seems like we were higher. But most of the time, if we're rate shopping, if you're only rate shopping, let us know because we can beat those bank rates, even specifically to your own bank. So if you're dealing with a particular bank on the corner and they've given you whatever, 3%, and we can probably offer you at the same branch, probably 2.8, 2.9. So look after yourself. Remember, you're here for you. We are here for you. We have other options. We don't have to settle with one particular lender. So that's the beauty of being a broker and the products that we offer. As far as what do we offer? Of course, we offer mortgages in all the terms, you know, 1 year, 6 months, open, close, 5 years, 10 years, all of those, the home equity lines of credit, we offer those. All of those are offered by brokers across Ontario. So don't be afraid that we only offer one product. And we'll get to that a little later because there are some private lenders that we have access to that the bank doesn't, that only offer certain products. So as far as products, we have all the products that you need.
That's right, 65 lenders. So we're going to find something that's going to fit you. The other thing that we do, and Reno and I do something really different because we actually work evenings and weekends. We are always happy to take customers' phone calls because this is the biggest purchase of your life. And you just want an answer because you don't want to be worrying about it or freaking out and stuff like that. By just calling us or emailing us, we will answer your questions to give you the results that you need. It's all about that convenience, getting the deal done. You don't have to, first of all, you make an appointment, you go to the bank. They say, okay, well, send me this. I need all these documents. Then you got to go home. You got to get the documents, go back to the bank, get that done. Then you got to go home again and then come back to sign the paperwork. So then you got to go back and sign the paperwork. So it's not convenient. It just takes too much time to do it at the bank. Sometimes there is the odd time that the bank is probably your best solution, but not always. Reno and I believe in that full touch service for our customers. We talk, we answer their questions, and we don't just stop because we give you a mortgage. We're here to answer your questions after you get the mortgage because often something comes up after you think about it. So that's what we're here for. You have anything else to add to that, Reno?
Well, just to follow up on that, we're also, and again, I know we're going to sound like we got halos and things over our heads, but it's just common sense to treat people with a little respect and a little knowledge. And it's not beyond us, and we've done it in the past, and we will do it in the future, that sometimes you're saying things and we know that you're better off to stay with your bank, especially if you're already there with a mortgage or something that they know you, and you have a special circumstance that they might make an exception because you're already their customer and they want to keep you. If we already know that, so we're not going to argue with you. We're not going to try and steal you from the bank. If you want to bounce ideas off a broker will give you good, solid, independent advice, even if it's sending you back to your branch. Because you know what? 5 years down the road, 3 years down the road, eventually you're going to come back to someone you trust, and hopefully that person you trust is us.
And a good example of when we would send you to your bank is when you have a penalty. Because the first thing we're going to always say to you whenever you're buying a house or whatever, and you're finishing up with another mortgage, is you need to call your bank. You need to find out what your penalty is. Because if you have a $30,000 penalty with your bank, we're not going to tell you to switch. We're going to say, stay with your bank. And when it's up for renewal and whatever's left on the term, 3 years, whatever, come back and we will talk about what's best for you. We're not going to push you into something that doesn't make sense for you. Our goal here is to make sure you're happy all around and you're getting the right products, the right timing, and the right everything, because it's all about helping out the customer. It's not about us. Well, it is in a way, but it is also mostly about you.
100% about them. And when they're happy, if you're happy, we're going to be happy. There's no question about it. And again, I don't want to point out the obvious, but those penalties are a very important factor in the bank's profit line. And that's all they can be, is profit line. We had a deal just the other day that we asked the customer to go ahead and call and get a preliminary number on how much it would take to break a mortgage. And that customer was told $2,000. So $2,000 to break a mortgage, which is normal, which is pretty, not normal, which is pretty reasonable. It's acceptable. You're going to make a move for $2,000. No question about it. However, 2 weeks later, when we told those people to go ahead and stay with their own bank, 2 weeks later, after the mortgage was all done and they were at their lawyer signing everything, the penalty was $12,000. And so just be aware that not everybody you speak with at the bank has the correct information at that particular time. Okay, so just be aware. I mean, most of them do. Most of them not going to lie to you. They're not. But for God's sakes, you're there to protect you, protect yourself. Okay. The other thing is, and by the way, I used to work at TD, so I am a banker, and that's where I was, and I enjoyed when at the time when I was there, and I didn't realize the environment that I was in. But basically, once you became a customer of a bank, your file goes into a deep drawer that somehow it knows about 3 months before 5 years is up, and then it pops back up. And 3 months before 5 years is up is when you get a notification, hey, it's time to renew, it's time to start thinking about this and the other. We're different. Remember, we're real people, and we don't have the volume. Each one of us individually doesn't have the volume that a branch would or any bank would. So individually, we have time and we have people on staff that actually review different things. For example,
wait. You know that thing you were talking about of reminders of when you're up for renewal? It's called technology.
That's what it is.
It's not even a person that's looking at it. It's technology. And then they print a spreadsheet, and the reason I know this is I worked for Bank of Montreal. They print a spreadsheet and say, hey, these guys are up. That's the long and short of it. So like Reno was saying, we're human beings and we're here to answer questions. We're not just saying, okay, you funded your deal, you're gone. That's the smallest part of it. The other part is based on what you want. If you say, you know what, I really don't want to deal with anything. I want you to call my lawyer and make sure they get the instructions. I want you to call my realtor and get them to send you the paperwork. We're going to do it as per your instructions. It's just, we need to get your permission to do so. It's all about interaction with each other. And if it's easier for you, the customer, to have us get the paperwork from your realtor, we're okay with that. Right, Reno?
Yeah, we're a one-stop shop, and that's what you need. You need simplicity, trust, attention, and speed. I mean, that's the 3 or 4 things that in order for you to be happy in life with your mortgage, that's what you should get. I also want to talk about reviews. And we actually sit down, and again, through technology, you're going to get a phone call from us during the term, at least at once during the term of 4 or 5 years, that's going to say, like I did the other day, say, hey, bud, if you're up for renewal, but you're up for renewal in 2 years in this particular case, but from 3 years ago, you had an interest rate of 3.79%, which was good at the time. However, today, the interest rates are 1.79. So by paying out, and this wasn't one of the big 5 banks, it was one of the other banks where the penalties are substantially lower. By paying out, and this is the conversation I'm having with the customer, by paying out $3,000 worth of penalty, over the next 2 years, you can save $11,000. So that's a total savings of $11,000 minus the $3,000, a total of $8,000 to the plus side by us breaking the current mortgage, taking you to a different lender, and letting you restart your mortgage all over again. So you're going to save $8,000 over the next 3 years. Is that something that interests you? And you know what? Every time we have that conversation, the answer is yes. Yes, there's an expense up front. And most of the time, if it's a small enough expense, it can be built back into the mortgage. So it doesn't even really cost you much money out of your pocket. But we're looking at it, or most brokers will look at your past and see whether they can keep up with current and save you some money along the way. So the regular reviews of the mortgage checkup, that's the slide I've got behind me. A mortgage checkup is what we call it. And we're checking up on your mortgage and making sure that you're at the right place. Same time, at the same time we're doing that, if all of a sudden you've got debts, like credit card debts at 40%, maybe we can roll some of those back into the mortgage and save you some more money.
Well, now is a very good example, because with this COVID-19, some people had the misfortune of not working. And even though they may have gotten a CERB benefit at one point, it wasn't enough to cover their expenses. So their credit card debts went up. They're paying 24% interest on credit cards. Whereas if we did a mortgage checkup now, take a look at their profile and see if, hey, maybe we could refinance that and get you the lower rate. Plus, now you can consolidate all your debts, so you're not paying the 25% interest, because just the interest alone on your credit cards is going to be crazy. You cannot get that down fast enough. And I know Reno always uses this thing, look at your statements. Some of these mortgage statements, or not mortgage statements, credit card statements will say, if you just paid the minimum payment on this card, it's going to take you 100 years to pay it off.
Yeah, I've seen one the other day, 85 years to pay it off, and which is crazy. Remember, credit cards are convenience and not a loan. It's supposed to be in and out, and unless you treat it in and out, somewhere along the line, we're going to catch it. Everything's going to catch up, and we need to refinance that particular debt. So that's what we help you do. The other big thing about using a broker versus a bank is that we are your one point contact for everything. So we are your friend for life. We are your mortgage broker for life. That's what Sandy always says.
Yes, I do. My favorite saying, and I mean this completely, is I am your mortgage broker until you get tired of talking to me.
That's why you're not my mortgage broker.
Oh boy, you're stuck with me. You're married to me.
All right. So again, the advantages of using a mortgage broker, we collect all those documents that we need. We coach you through those documents. If you sent us the wrong document, we're going to coach you through and say, hey, no, this isn't the one we need. We need the other one. And you know what? Generally, we take care of 100% of the paperwork for you. We communicate, rather than you speak with the lender, which is the worst thing you could do, is we communicate and negotiate for you with that lender. And think of how valuable that is. We deal with these people every day. And so, number one, we're comfortable dealing with them. Number two, we can create a better profile of you than a 15-minute interview at a bank at any time. So that's why a lot of the deals that we get funded are, we fund a lot of deals. Sandy and I have a big closing percentage that we do get most of the deals funded that we come with. But the big deal is you can call, and I don't encourage you this every time, but if you have an emergency and you need to call us at 9:00 at night, someone is going to pick up the telephone and actually talk to you and help you with your emergency.
Yes, that's exactly. And I hear that all the time from my clients, is they say, it's Sunday and you're talking to me, answering my questions, my stupid questions is usually, but I want you to be aware that no question, as far as I'm concerned, is stupid. Because if you're asking it because you didn't know the answer, so that does not make you stupid. We are here to help, because Reno and I do this every single day. This is our livelihood. So we understand things regarding to mortgages where you may not, because that's just not what you do every day. You do what, 1, maybe 2, 5 in your lifetime. So with us doing so many of them in a year, we actually know the answers to those questions.
And so that's the end of the short bank versus broker conversation that we wanted to have with you this morning. And now we're just going to go through a couple of questions and an email question that we got the other day. And one of the questions was, what is your actual job? And yes, we're mortgage brokers. Yes. So we arrange the brokerage and we broker your mortgage and your information to that particular lender and get you approved. So that, on the surface, that's our job. But below all of this, okay, we are the credit experts. So our big job, our big training for us and our big knowledge is knowing how to decipher your credit and how to coach you through the next 5 or 6 months in case you don't qualify, on how you will qualify in 5 or 6 months or a year. So being a credit expert is such a critical part of this job that if that person doesn't know, the person you're using doesn't understand or know that, then you're not going to get anywhere. Okay, let's go to that question.
To the basics again. So it's like the biggest question we get all the time is, how do I get pre-approved for a mortgage? They ask us all this time, and it's like, it's very simple. Let's first have a conversation so that we can discuss whether or not. And that's kind of what we do, is we just discover what it is that's causing you from going ahead with your plans and help fix those issues, whether it's saving down payment, whether it's fixing your credit, whether it's getting you on a job and explaining to you why you need to be not quitting your job every week. Sometimes it takes 1 month, sometimes it takes 6 months, sometimes it takes 2 years, but it's all about you. And that's what we're here, is to show you that just because you had a glitch in the past doesn't mean you should be held so you can never get a house because you had something in the past. Us as credit experts, as Reno calls us, we are here to help guide you into the right way of getting things done so you can achieve your goals. You're not just a number with us. You're actually a human being who life happens, that we try to fix things. We can't fix it. You have to fix it, but we can give you the guidance on how to fix things.
So the next email question is, and I've condensed it, but how much does your service cost? We've got a couple of minutes to answer this and then we're going to be gone. But how much does your service cost? So go ahead, Sandra.
Yeah, for us, we don't charge. In 99% of the situations, if you are a or B customer, we do not charge you. It's only whenever you need to be a private customer, like use a private lender, that you may have a fee associated, but it's all disclosed before you get into any mortgages. You will have the final say on whether or not you want to proceed at all times. So what that means is, if you are a bank qualified, like if you are able to use a bank for your lender, you're not going to pay us. The lender pays us. If it's a credit union, the lender pays us. It's only when we have to go outside the normal lending criteria because of issues around your file. And we're going to have that conversation up front with you. Correct, Reno?
Think of it this way. When you go into a bank and you sit down in front of that person, there's no way you're going to pay that person. That person gets paid by the bank for doing mortgages. That's what they get paid for doing things within the bank, and the bank pays them. We are absolutely the same way with every lender that we use, except for privates. But in every case, we get paid on A deals, on straightforward good deals. We get paid by the lender, and the lender has it built into their operational costs, and that's how we get paid.
It's commission-based, by the way. In case anybody's wondering, we get paid by a commission-based. So we want to get this deal done just as much as you do. So we want to make sure we're guiding you in the right direction to get it done. Now, in the meantime, I think we're down to the last minute, Reno. I like to say thank you for listening in, everybody. If you have any questions, please give us a call. My number is Sandra Brown, 613-933-3339. Reno?
Guys, I am Reno Viola. I am the mortgage guy. Actually, I like the mortgage commando better. So you can call me anything you want. But please call me or Sandy, and we'll try and look after you the best we can. We'll see you next week.